Hi guys, Erin here from BC Global Investments. Hello from the helipad. Today we're going to talk about buying real estate in a self-directed IRA. So I love investing in my IRA. I think it is the most powerful tool to build wealth in real estate, and it allows you to grow wealth tax-free. It also allows you to continue to build a portfolio and not take up any of your time, which to me just contributes to financial freedom, which is why I invest in real estate in the first place. Because you're not allowed to benefit from your IRA until you are of age. That age changes every once in a while. But typically it's like late 50s, you can't touch it until then without being penalized. And so because of that, you have to have it all managed. You can't even change a light bulb on your own. You have to hire a property manager. You have to hire everything out. And I like that because it allows me to continue to scale. And I see my IRA growing in a way that I never even thought was possible. And just to give you an example, I self-directed my IRA, and my husband still had his in mutual funds. Mine made more, had about the same amount of money in it. Mine made more in a month than his did in a year. And I have never seen mine decrease in value since it's been in real estate. Whereas when it was previously managed and mostly in mutual funds, it was decreasing almost as often as it was increasing. So it was growing, don't get me wrong, but not nearly the rate that it's growing now. I'm getting like a 30% ROI on it, and I'm in complete control. I've decided where I invest and what I invest in, and I decide what my returns are. And so I love that. I love that I'm in control. I have all the power, and then also it doesn't take up any of my time. So for those reasons, I think this is a really powerful tool. The other thing is it's naturally protected, because if you do get a loan on the property that you purchase, it has to be a non-recourse loan, which means that lender can go after nothing but the property. And so that's really powerful too. That's not the same, especially if you buy your own personal residence. If you were to default on that loan, that lien holder, the lender, is going to go after every single thing that you have to your name, right? It's not like that with your IRA. So it adds this additional layer of protection, which is pretty cool. So if you want to invest in your IRA, if you want to self-direct it, you essentially first need to find a custodian, or you can set up your own LLC. Wherever your money is right now, and whoever it's managed by is probably not going to want you to do this, and they're going to probably tell you that you're going to be penalized when you withdraw it, but you're not withdrawing it. You're not taking it out. You're not cashing it out. You're not liquidating it. You're just moving it to a self-directed IRA. And I'm pretty sure that even if your current custodian tells you that it's self-directed, it's probably really not self-directed. What they mean by that is like you get to choose what type of funds in this category that you can invest in. You don't get to totally decide what you're investing in, okay? So if you truly want to self-direct and buy real estate, you have to find yourself a custodian or set up an LLC to do that. And then after that, if you don't have enough to purchase property, you can do one of two things. You can either invest in a syndication. Some syndications will allow you to invest as little as like $25,000, maybe even less, and you can get pretty significant returns and own a portion of an asset. You can also leverage that money and find a lender that will get you a loan against that IRA. So typically those are a little higher interest rate and also more of a down payment. You're probably gonna be like 30, 35, even 40% down, because that's a non-recourse loan. So the lender's trying to protect themselves. So find your custodian, and then you just transfer that money over. Then you're going to find a lender if you need it, or a syndicator if you need that. And then you're going to start looking at properties. You buy the property just like you would buy any other asset. It's going to be deeded in the name of your IRA. So it'll say whatever your custodian's name is. Mine is Equity Trust Company, and I'll put a link in the comments for that company so you can look into it. I've been pretty happy with them. They do all my accounting. My traditional IRA cost me $400 a year. My Roth IRA cost me $250 a year. It's more than worth it to me because, like I said, I can't benefit from this now. I don't want to put any time into it right now. I just want to see it grow. So I'm happy to pay those fees. So just keep an eye out for the fees. Make sure you fully understand what you're getting into. And those custodians are essentially like they manage your checkbook. If you need to pay somebody to do a repair, or you need to pay someone to cut the lawn, or your utilities, you request that money through your custodian, and they cut the check and they keep accounting of all of it. So it takes a little bit longer to get stuff done, but ultimately they're gonna make sure that you're doing everything right. You're not doing anything illegal, because there are rules. So if you don't know anything about what you're allowed to do in an IRA, and you don't want to spend the time getting to learn it, getting to know it, find a custodian and call them and say, what can I do in my IRA? And figure out exactly what your options are. See what kind of feedback they give you, so you know what your parameters are. And then you'll also learn a lot about the company just by asking those questions. And if you do feel more comfortable and you know the rules and you're comfortable with doing it yourself, then go ahead and set up a LLC and sort of do it yourself. But once you buy the property, it's going to go into your IRA. So my deed looks like equity trust company custodian for the benefit of Erin Helly, traditional IRA, account number, blah, 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 blah. That's how the deed reads. If there's a note on it, that's how the note would read as well, or the lien or the mortgage, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be in the name of that IRA. Okay, so when you get a custodian and you buy a property, that custodian they're going to assign you a liaison. That liaison is going to make sure that all the right paperwork is done, and they're going to make sure that that property closes the way that it's supposed to, and all the paperwork is done appropriately. And honestly, they do most of the work. It's even easier, I think, than buying a transaction outside of your IRA, or doing a transaction outside of your IRA. So that's it. It's that simple. Find a custodian, self-direct your IRA, find a lender or a syndicator if you need it. Otherwise, start looking for properties. Buy a property in your IRA, start getting paid, start maximizing your returns, and you can still continue to contribute. And there's no cap on how much you can earn. I bring in, on one property alone, I bring in $1,100 a month, and that's a duplex I own in Marion, Illinois. I also have 2 other syndications that I'm investing in that are bringing me over $1,000 a quarter. And that I started that out with about $65,000, $70,000 in it, and now it's only 2 years later, my IRA is easily double that. It's worth easily easily 130, and probably even more than that. So super, super powerful way to build wealth. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to put a ton of notes in the info of this video. I'm going to put a link to my custodian, a link to some other custodians. But if you need anything, I'm also going to have my Calendly link. If you want to have a conversation with me about this, please schedule it. All right. Bye, guys.